I'm back on Scottish history, and at request, this is Robert the Bruce. Heir to the House of Bruce, the brave heart, liberator of Scotland and future king. It is a very good story. But how did Robert become king? You see, the House of Dunkeld, which had been the royal house of Scotland for about 250 years, had come to an end when Alexander III fell off his horse. The Scots were like, oh dear, Margaret of Norway can rule us. Margaret of Norway dies. So the Scots have an election called the Great Cause to elect their new king. A total of about 13 Scottish lords put their name forward to be King of Scotland. However, they need an outsider to arbitrate this election so it's all fair. So they get the King of England, Edward I, Longshanks, to be their arbiter. However, Edward has his own ambitions. He wants to subjugate Scotland and make them a client state. And over the next 2 years, they hear arguments from the Scots and eventually settle on John Balliol. But he's just Edward's puppet. The Scots don't take it well. They call Balliol a usurper. And there's a divide in Scotland, those who support this English-appointed king and those who don't. This leads to a bit of conflict that goes onto the English soil. Edward doesn't like that, so he imprisons John Balliol. Edward thinks he's won, but that's when a full-scale rebellion kicks off, led by William Wallace and Andrew de Moray. But I'm going to skip this because it's going down a bit of a tangent, and they get defeated at the Battle of Falkirk. William Wallace is executed, his body divided into 4 parts, each part goes to a different part of the realm. However, it is in the wake of this defeat that things really change, because Robert the Bruce is declared one of the High Guardians of Scotland, but the other is John Comyn, his rival. The Bruces and the Comyns hated each other. However, Robert tries to put that aside and make a deal with John Comyn. In the interest of Scotland, the Comyns would support a Bruce-led rebellion from behind the scenes. But it never happens. The Comyns betray them and let Edward know. So Robert invites John to a church in Dumfries for a polite, "What the hell, dude?" The meeting does not go well, and they come to blows, with Robert drawing a knife and introducing it to John Comyn's chest. This is a sticky situation now, because Robert has not only just committed murder in a church, massive sin, but also killed one of the most powerful men in Scotland. Needless to say, he had to move fast. So he has the clergy crown him King Robert I at Scone. Word gets to Edward I, and he is furious. He declares Robert an outlaw and gets his son Edward to ride north with the English army. And they're flying the Dragon Banner, a symbol of no mercy, no prisoners, and this will definitely need a part 2.